La da da dan da dee dan da ya. La da 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 dun dun. La da da dun dee dun da dun dun. Rain time, city shine, I'm a shining too. This time feeling fine, thought of you. Share it all in a moment, pack it up in a rhyme. Send it off by parcel post and pick it up in the springtime. When it bursts into blossom, blossom and dew, you'll know why I saved this rainy day for you. Jim, are you there? Jim, are you there? I'm on the Jim Masters show. Will Jim Masters show? Are you here? Are you here?
I am here. I am here. High five. That was awesome. Boom. That was cool. Did you have fun with that? I certainly did.
I did. And, it was really funny because we were like, hey, sing that rain song that you talked about. But I started singing a different song. And I was like, why does this sound so weird? Anyway, I love that before the show, you asked me if I ever wrote about weather.
Yeah.
And I had completely forgotten that as a kid, yes, I did write about weather.
You did, right? She's in the Boston, Massachusetts area where they've had a lot of weather this
Right.
particular past winter and early spring with blizzards and snowstorms. And I said off camera before we went on air, does weather ever inspire you to create the music? And she said, let me think about that. Actually, there was this song that years ago I wrote and didn't really publish yet. And there it was. That is incredible. So weather and nature and a lot of things inspire you, right?
Yeah. I mean, life, absolutely. Yes. And the minute you said they were like nature, I was like, yeah, the song about the tree and the song about the dogs. Yeah, absolutely. There's so much that you can sing about. Uh-oh, I'm on the screen all by myself. What does that mean?
It means we rehearsed. It means I'm giving you full screen. You forgot already?
No, yeah, we're like, and when you're full screen, you're start playing.
When you're full screen, you are on it. You got to do your thing.
Okay.
We're going to have fun, folks. We really are. She is truly not only a breath of fresh air and a phenomenal singer and musician, Grammy-nominated electric harpist, singer, composer, innovator, and also an educator as well. Some say Deborah, some say Deborah, some say DHC, and you welcome it all, right?
I do. And some even say Deborita, and some say Debola. So I actually love it when people make up their own nicknames for me, as long as it has at least 3 syllables. So I have a full chance to be able to hear it.
You have a full chance. What's amazing too is our very special guest, Deborah DHC. She performs in symphony halls as a soloist with major orchestras too, and she plays intimate shows in jazz clubs and theaters nationwide. And she has toured with the Boston Pops. She's opened for Ray Charles at Tanglewood, which is a phenomenal place if you've never been. Jammed on stage with Bobby McFerrin and off stage with Aerosmith's Steven Tyler, and also starred in the PBS special Celtic Harpistry. You may remember that. That was so widely received and beautiful special. She's been featured on shows for CBS Sunday Morning, NBC's Today Show, NPR's Weekend Edition, and the Food Network's Warped, and interviewed by thousands. And really, it's a tremendous pleasure to have you here because I love what you do. You inspire, you empower, you entertain. Where does that come from within you? You're so skilled at it. You have fun with it. You engage the audience. And at the same time, you make people feel really good about life. For you, those early inspirations that pointed you in the direction of going into the arts and into music, where did that initially start and come from for you?
I grew up with a mother who was an opera singer, and she was always auditioning and not necessarily always getting parts, but she would do this thing. My brother would actually say to his friends, he'd say, "Hey, I bet I can make you cry without even touching you." And they'd say, "Oh yeah." And he'd bring him home and he'd say, sit him down in the living room and he'd say, "Mama, sing to them." And she would put on this background music for an operatic aria and she would start singing it. And you wouldn't even know what was happening to you. You would just start crying. And when I saw that transformation of a human taking other humans into a different dimension, and then where something else would happen that you didn't even know, it was like you were lifted up and then you'd come back to earth sort of lightly, dropped lightly back, but slightly changed forever. Experiencing that transformation and realizing that it had nothing to do with big production or costumes. It had to do with a human being taking on a story, and sharing it with music. And that, I think, became my that's the magic thing. That's the thing that came out. And so that is what I am always trying to do, whether I'm teaching or whether I'm performing or whether I'm writing music for other performers to perform. I'm looking to how can I create a vehicle for that, or how can I create conditions for that to happen, or how can I help someone get to that place? Because for me, that is the magic of being a performer. It's not about presentation. It's not about doing it right. It is about achieving that moment of transcendence or transformation. And it can be really simple, but it has to do with presence and connection.
It really does. Presence and connection is such an important part of the entire process. What is it about the harp that spoke to you early on? And was the harp the first instrument for you? Sometimes the instrument that people are known for wasn't necessarily the very first instrument
Yeah.
that they were
No,
playing
not
with.
at all. Not at all. No, I was not really interested in the harp. I played the ukulele as a little kid, and I
Did you really?
remember. Oh, did you
Wow.
not? Did you
Yeah.
not play the ukulele? I mean,
Violin.
oh, the violin, though, that's tricky. So I remember when I was 7 and I wanted to, always adults were playing ukulele and, they were the ones who could play and you sang along. And I remember the night when my mother showed me 3 chords. And I remember my hands on it and playing it. And in that moment, I was like, as soon as I got them, I was like, that's it. I can do everything. I know all music at this moment. I felt that feeling. Now I could play. I could play for other people. And the ukulele, I also got a bicycle that year. And the ukulele and the bicycle were my experience of freedom. You could go
Mm,
anywhere with these.
mhm.
The harp came in later. So because I was playing music all the time, my parents assumed, well, she wants to get music lessons. She's a musician. And so they tried piano lessons. And I remember my first piano lesson, it was up the street. I think I was 10. And the teacher gave me this book and it had this piece in it. And I was like, I didn't like the piece. And I was like, why? I played it and I said, hasn't anybody else ever played this piece? And she said, yes, other people have played it. And I said, well, didn't they do a good job? And she was like, yes, they did a great job. And I said, well, then why do you need me to do it?
Mm.
And so I went home and I think she might have said, I think it's time for you to go home. I went home and I said to my mother, can you just tell me how it works? How does music work? And she showed me, I didn't have a harp then, it was on a piano. And she showed me, I'm putting my harp into the key of C, which is like all the white keys of the piano. And she showed me, she said, look, you play a note here. This is a red string. Should you happen to have a harp? And she said, if you skip a string and then play another one and then play another one, you've got something called a triad. And this is called the 1 and the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5. So you've got the 1, the 3, and the 5. And then if you want to add a 7, it sounds like this. And then you can put that 7 down there if you want. And I was like, so, and she said, so when you're looking at sheet music, if you ignore all the sheet music, but up at the top, there's usually these chords and it'll be like big letter and then it'll have this stuff after it, but just make up the other stuff, play the big letter. And as soon as I was like, oh, really? Is that how it works? Fine. Now I know everything. So again, as soon as she kind of showed me the fundamentals, then I was off and I was playing. I already knew the songs, so I could just kind of put them together from what she taught me. And that was the way that I ended up reading music. I wasn't actually learning how to read music, but I was learning how to improvise. And interestingly enough, I was learning how to play jazz charts at around 10 years old. And that's how I did that. But I wasn't really interested in lessons. But they tried. They were like, okay, when I was about 12, they were like, let's try a guitar. And my mother was the first person to graduate from the North Carolina School of the Performing Arts. We were living in Winston-Salem then. And so she had all these friends who were amazing musicians. And so let's try the guitar on her. So I'd try the guitar and I'd be like interested, but not really. And they tried all these other things. And they were like, aha, I know, we'll borrow a harp. The harp, that'll do it. So a harp showed up in my house. I found it interesting. I thought the mechanics were really interesting, but I didn't like the sound. And when I was like, I don't think so, they were like, okay, she doesn't like lessons. That's it. So forget it. We're not giving her lessons. Just let her play, let her make up stuff. And then I started writing musicals and just doing all this stuff. I had enough. I had what I needed until I started writing bigger stuff. And then I needed to know how to literally write down music. But that wasn't until I was like 19. So at 19, I've been inventing music for, whatever, almost 10 years, or 8 years, whatever. So I'm inventing music, writing musicals and stuff like that. And I realized I'm writing bigger and bigger things and I don't know how to notate it. So imagine that you are writing a novel, you've got it all in your head, but you don't know how to write it down. And I said to myself, like, you're either going to have to remember this whole thing. How's this going to work? Are people going to read you or something? Anyway, that's when I went back to school. At my school had a harpist and had a harp. They had a harpist too, but they had a harp. Through a quirky event, I ended up playing that harp. I ended up thinking like, oh, now this is really interesting. And because I'd had a few lessons as a kid, I was able to then kind of get into it. And one of the things I loved about the harp and the teacher that I got is that I was kind of wild. I was just writing stuff and blah, 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 blah. I saw the discipline in it. And it was really, the discipline was fascinating. And the other thing I really love about the harp, and you and I talked a little bit about this ahead of time, we talked about shape. The harp is different from any other instrument in that both of your hands do the same shapes. And for me, this was so satisfying. Like my shape, I'm playing every other string right now. And I'm doing it with both hands and I'm getting the same sound. So for my brain, this was like, oh, this is a shape machine. I can just put different shapes on it. That's the same shape up and down. And then if I can, and now I took this shape and I just moved it. And then you can add rhythms and stuff like that. So for me, going from the discipline of like, okay, now I have something to really focus on, and a teacher who was great at both challenging me and also giving me a container to learn in. And then realizing that, oh, once I have these shapes, I can start playing with them. So that just worked for me, but it was not a straight line at all.
No. Wow. That's amazing. It really is. Even when you're doing what you just did there, does something happen to you? Are you transported to another time and place? Are you seeing shapes? Are you seeing colors? Like, for example, even when you were doing that little bit there, your eyes sort of had a sparkle when you were looking off in the distance a little bit. What's actually happening when you're playing? What happens to you internally?
That's so interesting. I mean, I think part of what was happening to me right then is I was realizing, oh, I also got to connect. I got to connect to something which was rhythm, which was the kind of the bossa nova rhythm that was really
sort of fundamental to me that I kept writing in this rhythm, but I had no idea how to write it down or what it was. So there's that. I love that rhythm. So I was thinking, but I think when I most connect is when there's words and music and I'm saying something, I don't know what it is. That's the moment I feel connected to my feelings. I was in an interview one day, and it was actually a coach, and he said, well, how do you feel about that? And I was like, can I play the harp? Because if I play, then I can tell you how it feels. And even if I can't find the right words, you will know. So
it is your language. It is
yes.
A painter paints, a sculptor sculpts, a gardener gardens. I'm a communicator and a broadcaster as well. It's part of my language. When you have that beautiful instrument with you, it is your companion, it is your friend, it is part of your family, and it's one of the ways that you communicate with everybody else, and it's done in such a beautiful and eloquent way. Your voice, like I said earlier, is like warm melted butter. It's so beautiful, but also just the texture, the quality of your voice matches that phenomenal sound of the harp pristinely. The two play off each other in such an extraordinary way, my friend. I could listen for hours to you. Blood pressure comes down for everybody. The endorphins are released. And now you're playing, lighter stuff. You play everything. You've done, you get on stage and you can just really knock it out of the park too. High energy as well. But the combination of the two, your voice and the beautiful sounds of the harp, are meant for each other. And it was destined to happen. And again, it's your language, right? It is one of the ways to communicate.
And it's funny because as you were talking about that, I was thinking, well, yeah, I mean, words and music have always, ever since I was a kid, always words and music, words and music. And then I just realized as you were saying that, I was like, oh, that's why it's been so important to have the harp, because the harp can travel with me. And this harp is actually called the DHC harp. It's a harp that's named after me. And it's a harp that I developed in conjunction and in collaboration with the CAMAC Harp Company in France, because I wanted a harp that could move with me, that I could literally wear it, strap it on. I mean, right now it's on a stand, but I can also strap it on. And when you said what you just did, Jim, I was like, oh, right. It had to be so. I had to find an instrument, first of all, that has enough resonance that it can keep singing. When I stop, I could walk away, I could come back. So, yeah, I mean, I would have never thought of it. Like as a kid, I would have been like, the harp. I mean, doesn't it just like sit in the back of the orchestra and go dingle, 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 dingle? And it does. But that was another amazing journey for me, was discovering, yeah, that's what it's been relegated to doing, but it can do so much more. Like, I mean, and the great thing, you can bend the notes. I'll be your sous chef, baby. I'm gonna slice and dice and chop for you. I'll be your sous chef, baby. I'm gonna clean your counters when I'm through. I'm gonna scour your skillet. I'm gonna polish your pan. If you be my ever-loving red-hot man,
I'll be your sous chef, baby. Let's start cooking something now. So you can do that. I mean, you can do that too. It's got your, because, oh, thank you.
Beautiful.
That is the best
Beautiful.
cooking I will do.
Yeah.
It is so accessible. It is transparent. It is literally transparent. I mean, the instrument is. I mean, you can see through the strings. It is, my hands are right here. So that means I can play gently. I can play like, you know, I can do that. I can do like, you know, you can do that. You can do, I mean, don't get me started. Here's this spoon. You could. You know, and then I have a looper pedal. So there's actually a song that I think I do that like that, where I'm just doing sounds. It's like, let me see. I've just looped that. So then I can like, I can make those kind of sounds. So just so many different sounds, and there's a really cool sound. Let's see. I happen to have a piece of paper here. I can take this piece of paper here. I can tear it up. I can put it through the strings. Don't ask me why I'm trying to talk like I'm trying to talk like Elvis Presley. I don't think it's coming across. Anyway, paper and the strings, my friends.
That's incredible.
Isn't it?
That is incredible.
It's
This
so
is why
fun.
this is why, in addition to, you know, being all the other things you are, this Grammy-nominated electric harpist and singer and composer and innovator, you're an educator. You like to describe and show and demonstrate as you are doing it, which I think is fantastic. I know our viewers loving it and getting a kick out of it as well. And if you are, definitely subscribe to our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. Give this episode a thumbs up, like, drop a comment. Do you play an instrument? Do you play a harp? Are you a fan of our very special guest? Do you have her music? Are you learning something? Connect with us. We love when you do that. That is another part of what you do that is so vital, is being an educator as much as an entertainer, right?
Yeah. I mean, when I was a kid, I saw Leonard Bernstein, and I saw him on television. I knew that he was a conductor. I knew that he was doing Children's Guide to the Orchestra, and I knew that he'd written West Side Story. And I saw this model, and I was like, well, that's what I want to do. I want to have all those three parts of my life. I want to be a performer. I want to like get on stage and do it and have that energy of music going through me. I want to be able to write music and see what other people do with it. And I loved stories with music. So I want to write musicals, and I wanted to be educating people because it's fascinating and you learn stuff. And I wanted to do it both from the stage, which I do because I love letting people into the secret, because I feel like if things are kind of hidden, they're kind of mystical, like, oh, I don't get it. But if you show people what's happening, it becomes magical, because they like, oh, I can see how that works. And then you know that they're trying it. They know they're trying it at home. So I saw this model of this three-part person, this triangle of a person that you could stand in the middle of, in which you were exploring music from all these three sides all the time, experiencing it as I'm doing it, and I'm doing it with others.
experiencing it as I'm showing people how, look at inside this door, look what's inside this box. Hey, look how you can do this. And then also I'm writing things as vehicles for other people.
Wow, that's incredible. I want to let the audience know too, in addition to what they're hearing now, which is just a little sprinkling of her incredible musical prowess. She really is a gifted, gifted person. She's cross genre blues, flamenco, Celtic, funk, folk, jazz, dynamo. And as you're seeing even snippets of as we have this amazing conversation here on the Jim Masters Show, she tells tales with the ease of a stand-up comic. You weave humor and wit into what you're doing, which I absolutely love. I'm right there with you. Solos and wails like a rock guitarist as well. And she turns music truly into theater, and theater into something lyrical. And everybody says if you see her once, you'll never look at the harp the same way again. You do weave humor into it. You do tell these tales as much as it's got the musicality to it. It's storytelling, and with bits of your own personality and the wit and wisdom too, right?
Um, yes, I've all of that you said. Yes, I've heard that. Yes, I picked all those things up over, traveling around the world and seeing how different musicians have freedom on stage and what they allow themselves freedom to do. Like when I was in Scotland, I mean, at first when I was on stage was, well, you should be like the real, I kind of thought being a harpist was an antidote for being a wild, uncontrolled person. So at first I was trying to kind of fit myself into the harpist box. But then as I started getting into jazz and then traveling around the world and starting to see other performers and playing with them and having fun, I began to realize, like in Scotland, they will tell these long stories, and so I wrote this song. And it's wonderful, and it's funny, and it's true, and theoretically all the stories are true. And each time I saw something else, it was like permission. It was like I was getting permission from that, like, oh, you don't have to hold yourself back from doing that. Or, oh, you don't have to hold yourself back from dancing. Or, oh, you don't have to hold yourself back from adding percussion. Oh, you don't have to hold. So it was just permission and permission and permission. Keep getting permission over and over again. And I think this is a beautiful journey for anyone, because what it leads to. It just leads to you being you, but you discover that as you're discovering it. And I'm not trying to be funny on stage, but apparently I am. And because I hear the audience laughing, and I notice that they often laugh the most when I'm telling the truth. And it sounds like I'm lying, but I'm actually telling the truth. And then they'll laugh in the middle of a song, like the sous chef that I was starting to sing, when it gets a little raunchier, and I ask them, okay, well, you come up with some words now. Let's see what that's like.
Exactly. Well, who did that so well, not on the harp, but with the piano, was Victor Borge.
I know. I love
the humor with the
right.
piano, and
Right.
Harpo Marx, of course,
Yes.
with the humor, with the
Right.
harp.
And Jack Benny and all those people from vaudeville. And they did it, and none of them did it in a guffaw way. They all did it in a way that, like, yes, I'm telling you something very important and true and real. And they all they took their instruments and pulled them way beyond what most people considered to be music. And I saw that over and over again, and I loved that. And when I started realizing I could do it with the harp, and it first happened with my band, because I used to tour with a band, harp, bass, and percussion. And I thought, oh, wouldn't it be funny if we all played the harp at the same time? Like, what would that be like? And it was easy for the percussionist. The percussionist could just play the soundboard. And I think I have some videos like this on my website somewhere. And then I was like, well, what if the bass player could come? Could he play the harp backwards down there? So we would all three be playing the harp. But from there, I started hearing new kinds of sounds. And then I was like, ooh, could I do that?
That's amazing. So those folks influenced you. You were inspired by them along the way, huh?
Oh, hugely. Sometimes, okay, so it's I was on tour with Chieli Minucci and George Ginda, the special effects, incredible musicians.
Yeah.
And so they, Chieli was producing my albums for GRP at that point, and I was on tour with them. And so we would go from, do these gigs, and, Chieli would go up on stage and people would be like, oh, it's amazing.
Incredible,
And then
man.
George would get up there with his talking drum, and he was sweating and like that. And then I'd be sitting at this big harp, and I'd just like do something really hard, and everybody be like, they'd just look at me like nothing was happening. And I was like, what are they doing that I'm not doing? And then I looked at it and I was like, well, they're leaning forward. They're moving a lot. Yeah, that's what they're doing. So the next day we were at Sunfest in Florida. And I'll never forget this because I fell in love with Sunfest for this reason. So Kelly takes his solo, and then George takes his solo, and it's time for me to take my solo. I stand up, and at this point I'm playing like a 6-foot tall concert harp. I stand up, I lean the harp forward, I look at the audience, and all I do is this. Like, I'm not even playing. I'm like doing something you could do. And this woman stands up in the front row and she says, "You're a goddess." And I was like, okay. Now I get it. There has to be that physicality with it too. You can't just play. You have to like play with it and let the audience know what you're doing and connect with them in a physical way as well. So I was learning from them how to do that. And every single musician that I've played with has influenced me hugely. I mean, the percussionists, and sometimes it's from jealousy. Because I remember, yes, I remember that I would always often have a trio, harp, bass, percussion, or harp, bass, drums. And my first drummer was a vocal percussionist. He was amazing. He'd just start blah, 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 blah. He would say these things, and he would always do the big, you would like to have a big number, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the acrobats turning upside down and stuff like that. So I would always give it to the percussionist. And my second percussionist, he would play the harp, and then he would take his drumsticks and play the entire room. And I was like, I want to be the one to do that. And that's when I started developing some of the strumming techniques so that I too could make something, that would be like, but I would often go on and on and on and on, especially when I had a harp that had a soundboard, because then I could hit the soundboard as well, and I could get percussion. And there's a piece that I've written called Barroca Flamenco that is now done by harpists all over the world. That really, it shows that it has that big, like I'm big and I'm getting that I'm doing this, and whack, 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 whack. And then at the very end of the piece, there's this ending that goes like this, like. And then the harpist like stands up, and I wrote it that way because I wanted the audience to be so entrained in what the harpist is doing that they unintentionally at the end they stand up with the harpist, and then they're like, oh, I guess it's a standing ovation, and they ovate. Anyway, so yes, that's terribly manipulative. But anyway, those are some of the things that I've learned from others and then tried to bring to the harp, the percussiveness, the drama, as well as what was the hardest thing for me was the gentleness. That was very hard because it's extremely vulnerable. Mm. And there was one particular piece that I refused to play for many years because it was so simple and so vulnerable. And I had a friend, I sang it in France somewhere, and he came up to me afterwards and he said, "You must play this song." And I was like, well, I'm not going to play this song because it doesn't really show me off. And he was like, if you do not play this song, I will kill you. And so I was like, oh, okay, I'll play the song. But I was still trying to show off at that point. Like I felt that was the most important thing, that I should be, really impressive. And then I was playing it with a symphony, and the conductor, and I think it was Doc Severinsen, he said, Stop. He said, don't do anything. Sing this like a child and just let it be there. And this is a song about the sound of my mother's voice. Because every morning she would come into my room and she would sing me a morning song. But before she did, she would like whack my pillow, not with my head on it, and these dust motes would fly into the air. And I would try to catch them. Wow. Because they were like stars.
Right.
And then every night she would come into my room and she would sing a lullaby. And then she was, well, in the morning she was like my lark. And at night she was my nightingale. Who will sing for the nightingale when the night is gone, when the daylight comes? Who will sing for the nightingale when she sleeps alone in the sun? Many is the time her silken tones soothed my rough and weary bones. Many's the time her lullaby took me to my rest. But who will sing for the nightingale? Her own sweet song is silent now. Who will sing for the nightingale when she sleeps alone in the sun? When she sleeps alone in the sun.
Mm-hmm.
That was the hardest song to allow myself to sing.
And is it because your innate energy wants you to be more, vibrant and robust and expressive?
Yeah.
And you have to sort of, you do it in such an extraordinary way, my friend. It's just really, like I said, the textural qualities of your voice and the sound of the harp are married together, truly married together. And
thank you.
When you sing that and you play it, what's happening to you inside?
Well, especially when I'm in a performance and I do a longer version of it, it has an interlude, I will sometimes allow myself to go back and experience that. And my relationship with my mother wasn't all wonderful at all. I left home at 16 because it was a very, very difficult and in some ways violent relationship. And it took me a long time to be like, well, she was a monster, but no, she was an angel. And I remember one day when I was like, you know what? You have to live in the paradox of that. Yes, you experienced all that. And you can't deny the beauty and the magnificence and the transcendence that she was just because it was difficult. And you can't deny the difficult part of it, the violent part of it, just because it was beautiful. And you have to live in the truth of all of it. And so that song has meant a lot to me. It allowed me, and I honestly, Jim, I just forgot your question. Oh, yeah, okay, because I get it when I allow myself to actually go there and experience. And sometimes when I allow myself to experience watching her sing a lullaby to my brother, so that I'm seeing her take that same love and seeing her with somebody else. And it's both, it's just heartbreaking and beautiful to realize that this is something that a person lived. She lived music.
Is that also a letter of forgiveness?
Yeah.
Does it allow you to forgive, not forget, but forgive through that song, through that beautiful melody and those words?
yeah. And even beyond forgiveness, acceptance, acknowledgement, and and the acceptance of an actual human being who has those qualities, and neither of them deny the others. That's part of what is so rich about a human being.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's, do you think maybe she didn't feel like she reached the level that she wanted to be?
Yeah, that was definitely an issue. She when I was maybe like 17 or 18, I remember her calling me up and saying, "Look, you were abused. You know, there was violence, and I want you to know that, and I did it, and I want you to know that because I know where it came from. This is something that gets passed down generationally,
Right.
and now you can do something about it." And that was an incredible gift that she gave me. There was another thing that she was an incredible artist, but I think she was afraid to audition or something. She often didn't get auditions. So I got to see this magnificent, transcendent thing. It was like if you had this bird in your backyard that like turned into a unicorn, but so few people got to see it. And it broke my heart. I was like, why didn't she get discovered? Why didn't she get discovered? Why? And then one day I was thinking about that. And then I was like, wait a minute. I discovered her.
Mm-hmm.
She changed my life.
Right.
Is that is it only meaningful if she changes thousands and millions of people's lives, or one? And in that moment, that was a really meaningful moment where I could accept what a gift I got with this person and every single thing she was.
That's incredible. That what a gift that is, and to have it expressed through music. What about
Right.
your dad, your father?
My father's Henson-Conant.
Right.
Yeah. You know, I was asked in an interview recently, they were like, if you could perform with anybody, you know, who would be your dream person to perform with? And without thinking, I said, my dad. If I could go back, and it was something like, or if you could go back and do one thing, who would you go back and, I don't know what it was, but I was like, my dad. I would just like to be, oh, that's my dad.
Mm-hmm.
Me at his wedding, at his
Wow.
second marriage. Yep, that's Bert Henson.
Wow.
And
Incredible, huh?
I would
Look at the way
love.
you're looking at him with a smile too.
Oh yeah, I mean, I adored him, and I just never until very the last couple of years of his life did I get to spend much time with him, and I would have loved to spend more time with him. But I also had a stepfather, Lawrence Conant, and he was a very different kind of person and fed a different part of me. So Bert, even though I didn't get to see him much, he fed that musical theater and, you know, like that thing. But Larry fed my mind. He was the one who showed me, well, it's kind of a long story, so I won't go into it, but he showed me how structure works. He, I kind of want to tell the story, but I don't want to tell the story because it's a longish story. Okay, but I'm going to tell it anyway. But it has to do with music. Well, I like to play it with music. So this is new stepfather. I'm 7 years old. He's a child psychologist. And he takes me into the kitchen one night. We're all in the kitchen. And after dinner, he takes a glass of water, a pencil, a string, and a bowl of sugar. And he tells me to take a spoon. Well, there's a spoon. He asked me to take a spoon of the sugar and put it into the water and stir it up. So it's stirring and then it disappears. And he said, okay, take another spoon of sugar and put it in. And so I put the second in, and then a third, and a fourth. Until it's this swirling sugar water. And then we put a string, one string, we tie the string onto the pencil, and the string falls down into the water. And then we go to bed. And so we leave this saturated sugar water with a string in it and go to bed. And in the morning, we come out and the string is encircled with crystals of sugar. All the sugar has crystallized along this string. And it's magical. And for a new father to do this for a little 7-year-old girl was absolutely magical. And I said, why, how did this happen? And he said, well, sugar will crystallize. That's what sugar does. It crystallizes. But when you put a string into it, the sugar will crystallize on that string. And so in life, you always want to try to look for the string in the sugar water. That thing that everything can crystallize around. So this was my father, Larry.
Wow.
You got Bert and you got Larry.
Yeah, Bert and Larry. Yeah. You made me think of too, Julie Andrews singing, spoonful of sugar helps make the medicine go down too.
Right.
It's all part of it. That is fantastic. Thanks for sharing that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Did you also take a stab at American Idol as well?
Oh, no, I did not take a stab at American Idol. I was on America's Got Talent. You don't want to watch it. You don't want to watch it. It was, we don't need to talk about that, but we can if you wish.
There you are.
Yes, that's
America's Got Talent.
Yes, that's the moment when they were like, well, you're not a singer. And I was like, well, I know that. Well, why are you telling me that? I know that.
But to even be able to get to the level of getting on stage in front of them is something quite incredible.
It was very interesting because at that time I was writing a musical called What the Hell Are You Doing in the Waiting Room for Heaven? And it was about a game show to get into the heavenly choir. And the construct of this, I was writing one-woman shows where it would make sense for the main character to wear a harp. Like that's all that mattered. So the first show was this show about, okay, it'll make sense for, the main character. Yeah, she's in the waiting room for heaven. Yeah, she's the casting coach to help people to get into the heavenly choir. Yeah, that's great. So I'm in the middle of writing this story and I get the opportunity to go on America's Got Talent. And my agent at that time was like, well, I don't know if you should do your original music. You should, they like it when you do something that's like, I don't know, James Brown. Can you do James Brown? And I was like, I guess I can do James Brown. So there was this, it was a really interesting because I was not being myself. I was trying to follow what my manager or agent wanted me to do at that time, which was like, do what they want you to do. And I ended up, getting on stage and I think I got bonged like almost immediately. But what happened was that I was like, oh my God, that's it. It was like, oh my God, of course you have to be yourself. And so I was like glowing. They were like, I didn't even get what you were doing. It just seemed like, all the stuff they were saying. And meanwhile, I was having this epiphany of like, yes, now I understand the show and I know how to create it. So it was a really interesting moment of like failure and like, whoa, I got it. And so I will always be grateful to it for that. It was a really amazing experience. I would encourage anyone to do it.
It to be able to get to that level, absolutely, and congratulations on even getting to that level and having that epiphany, like you said, it was a learning experience too for you. You took a lot out of it and ran with it, which I think is really a beautiful thing. Something else too that is a beautiful thing, my friend, that you've been involved in. Your works have been performed, as I mentioned, for the Boston Pops, National Symphony Orchestra, Pittsburgh Symphony, Orlando Philharmonic, and ensembles from major symphonies to school orchestras worldwide. And you founded the Hip Harp Academy and harness your Muse mentorship program that provides one-on-one training with the purpose of liberating the mentees from their preconceptions and self-imposed limitations,
Right.
kind of like what we're talking about,
Right.
even with America's Got Talent, and catapulting them to the heights of authentic self expression, like the epiphany moment that you had on
Right.
America's Got Talent. Tell us about the Academy and being involved in all of that.
Yeah, I do want to talk about all that. And I also want to say that one of the things that's really exciting that's happening now is that the music that I wrote for myself to be so when I started playing the harp and I was playing with a band and I was playing in Europe and I was but I was the band leader and I was thinking, how do I open the door to play with a symphony orchestra? And I was like, well, I guess you got to write the symphony orchestra part. And so I ended up doing that. I ended up writing the music so that I could. That's a longer story, but we won't go into that one. But I always, as I was doing it, as I was on stage, I was always thinking, but I'm a composer. Like ever since I was a kid, I was like, I'm a composer. And so I was always thinking that even though I'm on stage performing, I'm thinking what I'm doing is, okay, everybody, this is how you would perform this. Okay. So watch me because I'm going to show you how to do it. And then you go out there and do it. And so, but nobody was really following, like nobody was playing this harp and nobody was doing what I was doing because they were like, oh, that's what Deborah does. But now that I am releasing a lot more music with the help of a team. I have a legacy project team helping me. In fact, right after this interview, I'm going into a meeting where a harpist from Europe is going to be playing some of the music that we've written out to see, like, did I write it the way that I wanted to write it? So now my music is being played by other people around the world as well. And one of the biggest things that has happened recently is that a bandura player, so not a harpist, but a different instrumentalist in Ukraine, has taken the music and adapted it to be played on her instrument. And I don't know if you know this, but the bandura is the national instrument of Ukraine. So when she's playing, she's not just playing as a soloist, she is playing the soul of her country. And she told me that the last piece that she did of mine, and it's coming out, I think they're going to do a telecast of it in April. The last tune that she did of my tune, it's a concerto, not a tune. She said this is in the middle of, bombing. They didn't even know whether the concert could happen. And yet they were using generators because there was no light or heat in the rehearsal room, but they were using generators for the sound and the lights in the concert hall. And she said, there were so many flowers on stage, I could not take them off the stage. After her performance, there were so many flowers, I could not take them off the stage. So knowing that my music has not only opened up all these doors in my life to do things I never thought I would go on tour with a rock guitarist like Steve Vai, but now it's opening up doors for other musicians as well. And there she is. And this is a big deal because for generations, the harp has borrowed music from other instruments. And this is an important historical moment where she is taking something that was written to create self-expression of a high level for the harp and using it for another instrument. And it's just such an honor to be part of that.
The Legacy Bridge Project, right?
Correct. Yes. And in order to help support that, I created a Legacy Bridge Project that would allow people in the US or in other countries where there's more money to help support that project, like to pay the licensing fees for her to play that music. because in the week that she first reached out to me, she was like, I want to do this project. And I was like, that looks beautiful. And 3 other musicians had asked for it too. And each of them were like, but I can't pay the licensing fee. And I was like, if I don't get the licensing fee, I can't keep doing this. So I thought, wait, what if there's a third person in this equation? What if there's somebody who has the money, but doesn't get to go on stage themselves, but they could make that possible? And I created this program called the Legacy Bridge Project, where people can say, I want to sponsor one of those. And so the minute I put it out in my email list, which you can join at hipharp.com, by the way, if you want, hip as in cool, harp as in the instrument. As soon as I put it out in my mailing list, I got an email back within like 2 minutes. And a friend of mine from Florida said, I want that Ukraine project. And so I was like, great. Okay. So he paid the licensing fee, but it just started there. He then became friends with her. He helped support other parts of what she's doing. He helped her son to get a computer. He commissioned other works by Ukrainian composers, all because of this bridge project. And he said, thank you so much. He keeps saying this. Thank you so much. This has been one of the most meaningful things I've ever done in my life.
Wow.
And
That's
it all came out of a need and then an ask.
That's the key. You have to have those 2 things in that order too.
Right.
That's beautiful. So that's legacy building for sure, my friend. That is
Right.
absolutely amazing. And the Academy itself too is
Right.
quite
Yeah.
a special thing as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's me.
Yeah.
The Academy is there's probably about 150 harpists who are, there all year round. And then we probably serve another couple of thousand each year in other, I'm in improv adventures, really is what it is. So there are 150 people who are there with me week after week. And then there are people who come in, like I'm just about to do a big 5-day harp improv challenge. I'm always doing these like, yes, let's do this. Let's get everybody doing this like that.
Yeah. Bring them together, right?
Exactly. And trying to figure out what's the easiest way for somebody to get the experience of playing and having freedom quickly. How can you do that? So they understand, no, you don't have to spend 100 years being able to play Mozart. You can be self-expressed. And I was so proud because I saw one of the students from the Academy share something the other day. She's been playing, I don't know, maybe 5 years, and she lives in New Zealand or Australia. And she created this event where she was playing at a senior center and everyone was singing and she was playing away. And I was like, wow, this made a difference. So I teach people of complete different levels. So in the same class, there is a lifelong performer who could play circles around me, who's been writing a really serious piece about her mother's escape during World War II on the harp, and she played that for us. And in the same, what I love is that I am teaching principles of improvisation and self-expression. And the beauty of teaching that is that you can teach that to people of all different technical levels. And if everyone's sharing, they learn from each other. And it's not like, oh, the people with the most technique are going to teach the people with the least. It doesn't work like that at all, because it's about freedom of self-expression and having the courage to actually share who you are through the music.
That's incredible. Beautifully said. And it's so very, very true. You toured with the Boston Pops and opened for Ray Charles at Tanglewood. What was that like? Pinch me moment, pinch me moment. Ooh,
Yeah. My favorite moment backstage with Ray Charles was that there was a moment when he was standing with Seiji Ozawa. And so I went up and introduced myself and got a picture with me and Seiji Ozawa and Ray Charles. It was such an interesting moment to realize I'm about to open for Ray Charles and I'm here playing solo harp and sing. I think I can't remember if I was singing at that one. I don't know if I dared to sing before Ray Charles. But I was like, wow, this is so interesting that I can make this much sound, and that this can this can support, Ray Charles. I mean, I was before he was on stage. So that was exciting. Touring with the Boston Pops was really, really fun. I mean, that, because, Keith Lockhart was the conductor, and it was just so fun to get to play my own music and get a whole symphony behind me. Let's say playing with me. To have that, coming from a kid who wanted to be a musical theater, having that kind of power behind you, and also writing the music and getting to hear people play what you've written and play it beyond anything you could play. The bassoons are playing the bassoon part and the tuba is playing the tuba part, and it's funny and it's wonderful. And to get to hear that and be in the middle of it reminded me of when I was a little kid. I think I was maybe 11 at that point, or maybe 9. And the reason I can kind of remember was we moved every year. So I just have to remember what house we were in. And I heard music I didn't listen to the record player much, but I was listening to the radio, and it was so beautiful. It happened to be Debussy's La Mer. And I tried to crawl into the stereo. And when my parents came home, I was like stuck under the stereo sobbing because the music was so beautiful. I longed my whole life to have that sound, to be in the midst of that, and playing my own music with symphony orchestra. That is what that's like, surrounded by boom, beautiful, bombastic, all of this. It was incredible. And to think that this all happened because I ended up playing this unexpected instrument, and that it opened all these doorways that now I get to open for other harpists and other musicians. That's my hair.
It's really amazing, right? It is. What is your preparation like? How do you prepare? People have their own sort of routine and things that they do to get ready to go on stage or to go into the studio and to record. What is some of the preparation that you incorporate into your mix, even when you're doing wonderful things like this event?
Oh yeah, that's with a bunch of different harpists from Europe. That's really fun. I'm sure that was an improv. Yeah, that's lovely.
You do so many incredible things, and you have fun, and you give it 110%. It's so obvious. How do you prepare? What is your physical and mental preparation in advance?
Well, first of all, being an improviser gives me a big advantage because I don't have to have everything written out. I can have the basic understanding of what I'm about to do. Even when I'm playing a piece of mine with orchestra, I have what I call a cheat sheet. So I know the structure of it, and I know what I want to express, but not necessarily the exact notes that I'm going to play. So I always have a set list or something. Now, because I'm doing so much other work now, like with the Legacy Project and writing music and stuff, I'm not always in the best shape that I want to be in when I'm about to do a show. So for example, I had a show in January, and I started preparing for it like in December, and I have a show in June in LA. And so, I'll probably just start preparing, as soon as I can. And what I did is I built myself a set of exercises and warm-ups that will work every single part of my body, of my playing body. And I actually wrote these for other harpists to play as well. I call them modulating warm-ups. And they start off with like classical techniques. It gets boring quick, by the way. But it gets my hands warmed up. And then I'm pretty sloppy right now. And then I'm up here. And then I start modulating. I start actually shifting my harp into a new key. And then hopefully I'm in the right key now. And then I'm in a new key, and I do it all over again in the new key. I do it all the way up, all the keys I can do, and all the way down. And then I do it all over again with scales. And then I do it all over again with these. like with a classical type thing, so that I know that I'm getting a full workout. And it was really interesting when I was back in December, when I was like, the show's coming up, to experience going from being out of shape to going to being in shape, and what that meant. And first of all, it meant I could type really fast because my hands are right. But it was interesting to watch what I could and couldn't do, and as I started getting more and more and more comfortable. And after I finish those warm-ups, then I have a set of pieces that I do. And one of them is a piece I've probably maybe never played in concert because I'm still working on it. Like, it's this hard thing that I keep working on. So then I just kind of go through repertoire, and that's how I prepare.
That's incredible.
Were you thinking there was more? Look, wait, my hair. Wait a minute, my hair is like sticking up. Okay, well, we'll deal with that later. Fix that in post, okay?
If they haven't yet, they need to create a sitcom for you. You need to be on one. It's amazing. I love it. I'm sure our viewers are getting it as well. I love observational humor, and that is you. You are so quick to react to whatever's going on, whatever of the 4.3 million thoughts are flowing through your head all at the same time, and you're able to sort of react to it and pose a question and answer it right then on the spot. Talk about the hair, that, caress the harp like you've been doing, like it's there and it needs the attention. It's a whole thing, and I pick up on all of that energy. I think it's fantastic. And this is just a conversation, folks. This isn't even her on stage. Forget it. This is just a little sample of what she does. You really are not only brilliant, but you're a delight.
Jim, I'm coming back to this show for sure, just to hear you say this stuff. Thank you.
Well, I mean, how many shows also have, like a built-in audience that gives you bravo and applause?
I think I should have that. Wouldn't that be a great watch? We should have watches that have that on it, and just laugh track and the clapping and
absolutely, the laugh track. Yeah,
and it should be like when you said something amazing, or like something beautiful. Or like well, then you have to start dancing.
That's going to say. I bet you hear that a lot, when you say something funny. See, we got it all, whatever you need.
I know. Wow. How about, oh, thank you. I feel like,
yeah, but
oh yeah. Go ahead. Give it to me.
Well, this is hilarious. I love it. When you did the bit with the paper, it almost had sort of that sound to it. Was really cool. That was the first time I ever saw it with the paper inserted in to totally change the sound of the harp in the way that you did.
Yeah, and there are harpists who specialize in just developing those sounds. There's a wonderful harpist named Carolyn Lizotte in Canada, and she's really, it's just fun to watch, like all the things she does and all the different sounds she gets out of the instrument. It's fun.
You're loving what you're doing, aren't you? You are in your sweet spot. You're loving it, and that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it does feel like, wow, now I have this facility. Now I have this thing to play with that might have been a struggle for many years. But now it's like I realize, this is a playground. And
you get a chance
to. Yeah, sorry.
Oh no, yeah, you were going to say you get a chance to play around the world? Are there places, venues, concert halls that you haven't played yet that you would love to play at?
Hmm. Wow. I mean, I'm just thinking of the places that I love. I've played in so many beautiful venues. And now that you're saying, I do love theaters. I love them. But what I love even more than the theater is almost like when anything becomes a theater, the experience of
Right.
connecting.
Could even be something intimate, just it becomes community, right?
Right, right. And the intimacy that happens when you actually connect with somebody. I remember when I was on tour, some days I would be really depressed after a show. And I was like, why am I really depressed after some shows and I'm not depressed after other shows? And then one night I was like, it's because when the lights are so bright, I can't see the audience at all. I'm depressed. I feel alone. And so I wanted always to be able to see at least the front row so that I can actually connect. And then I realized that what worked for me was always to go out afterwards and be able to touch people and see them after the show. And be able to connect with audience members and let them tell me what they loved about the show or what they heard or what they saw. And that time was equally important to me as being on the stage.
Why does this bring you such great blessing and joy as it does? You bring that to everybody else. Why does it do it, and how does it do it for you? And what are some of those additional blessings and joys in your life that allow you to share your gifts and your talents with all of us?
You know, Jim, it's interesting you should say that because I can be very like not crazy about parties and I'm not considered a real social person. I feel safe when I'm on a stage. I feel like I'm at home. I feel like nobody's going to say you're too loud or whatever. I feel like it's a place where I feel comfortable and where I can really connect. And I feel that way when I'm teaching as well, that I'm sharing something. It's a connection. It's a connection. And I often don't know how to connect in that way if I'm in more social situations. So anytime that I can talk to someone directly, like I remember when I was with this record label and, I was touring and, there'd be TV shows or whatever like that. But I remember every time I had the opportunity to talk to a journalist, I'd be like, yes, because the journalist is someone who loves music. They want to talk about music. And that would be a real connection that I could have. So I'm always looking for those connections because that's what makes me feel connected.
Exactly right. No, it's really important, isn't it? I'm big in that too, probably why I'm in this industry and as a communicator and a broadcaster is television, radio and all is this desire to connect and to entertain and inform, educate, influence, smile up faces like you do as well. I said that you're a Lovity. For anybody watching for the first time, our faithful viewers know that when I started the show almost some 6 years ago and 1,600 episodes ago, I said the show has a lot of light, love, and levity. And people needed to hear that because we were in a dark time a few years back, the world at large with health and all. And I slipped up and said the show has a lot of light levity. And somehow that word came out and the audience jumped on it. And they said, we love that word. You're now Mr. Levity. This is Levity Hall. We're your Levity Squad. And the guests are part of the Levity family. You were born a Levity, my friend.
Thank you. Now I feel like I belong. And I've really enjoyed, oh my God, it's been so wonderful to get to talk to you before and during.
And there will be after too. I'm sure, we are here on the East Coast, so I can't wait to come see you do your thing. And we keep the porch line on for all of our guests. You are welcome back anytime, my friend. And
Thank
did you
you.
want to play a little something for us out?
I would be happy.
And
Do you
thanks for
have?
doing it so much during the show, too.
Of
Sprinkling it in.
course.
That's a real gift for all of us and our viewers as well.
You're so welcome. I'm just going to end with or I'll just play, and we'll just play. You'll play. I'll play out, right? Like it's not a full song. I'm just
Yes.
playing, right?
Yes, you are. Whatever the harp wants you to do, you follow it.
So this is called Happy Song. La da da dun da dee dun da dun. La da 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 do da da. La da 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 dee da la 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 dun la dun la 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 la. La da 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 la da da la da ya da ya da la 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 da 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 da. Thank you so much, Jim.
The pleasure is all mine. I hope you enjoyed the time with me as much as I absolutely have with you, my friend.
I did indeed. Thank you. Thank you.
You are very welcome. And I love the way you always sort of wrap around the harp. The harp gives you a certain energy. There's a wonderful unspoken relationship between you and your friend, right?
Yeah. Sometimes I don't know what to do with my hands. And so it does.
It rests
seriously, it does.
perfectly.
Right. It's a thing to hold. It's a
It
thing
sure
to be
is.
a companion.
Absolutely, my friend. I encourage folks to go to hipharp.com to learn more about our extraordinary guest and all the incredible things that she's doing, working on projects, music. There are CDs out too. You can download her music. She is everywhere. And what a gift to have her here on the show. Deborah, thank you very much for stopping by the Jim Masters show and sharing your wit and your wisdom and your beautiful capabilities on that harp, your spectacular voice, and just gracing us with your presence. I had a ball. I know our viewers did as well. And we want to have you back. The door is open for you, my friend.
I look forward to it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I hope I see you all again.
Absolutely. You be well. And thanks for spending the time, and continued blessings to you and yours, my friend.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Incredible, right? What a gifted talent, an extraordinary person here on the Jim Masters Show, Deborah Henson-Conant. Stopping by, playing a little, and a deep dive conversation about her life, about her music, about her ventures, her adventures, and the love of the harp, and how it all began for her, too. Started with the ukulele. Imagine that. And look what she's done. She has been everywhere. She's been on all the TV shows, some of the world's greatest stages as well. And she has put out years and years worth of fabulous music, and has worked with great bands and great artists and some of the world's greatest symphonies as well, and all the different genres that she weaves in and out of: folk and rock and punk and jazz and Celtic. It's extraordinary, really. She's truly gifted. We hope you enjoyed this, folks. If you did, give it a thumbs up, drop a comment below, too. We love when we hear from you. Drop a comment, say hello. There is her again, website, hipharp.com. Check that out. If this was your first time watching the Jim Masters Show Celebrity Talk Show series, we love having you here. Come join us again. And don't forget, you can see an archive of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of past episodes on the YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV, with celebrity friends and guests from Hollywood and TV and Broadway and film and stage and culinary arts and sports from all of life. It's really cool to have them here. It's also cool to have you here. So again, give this a like, drop a comment, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV, click the notification bell so you never miss any of our fabulous celebrity interviews, conversations are what they really are here on the Jim Masters Show. As they always say, don't forget to love one another, take care of one another, do the very same for yourself. It's really important to do that. And come join us again. Now, don't go anywhere. Another great episode. You can watch all kinds of different episodes here and there and everywhere on our series. And we love having you with us. So for all of us here, thanks for being with us on the Jim Masters Show. We love you all. Be well, everybody. We'll see you on the next one. And cheers.